We're meeting this morning to examine the evolving global natural gas markets, the increasingly important role of U.S. liquefied natural gas, as well as the competitive outlook for LNG. American natural gas production has literally changed the game. We say that a lot around here about that, but it's been a game changer. Our production has soared to levels that many never even thought possible, and that was just about a decade ago. This, in turn, is boosting our economy as well as our national security. It's providing a long-term, low-cost, low-emission source of energy for our manufacturers and residential consumers alike. And we have such a massive resource base that we can send substantial volumes abroad. We're now leading the world in natural gas production. Hopefully soon we'll also lead in exports. Global demand for LNG, we know, is increasing. More U.S. LNG export facilities are coming online, and more of our friends and allies around the world are building import facilities. For the first time since the 1950s, we are now a net exporter of this abundant resource. Our production is driving the formation of a global spot market for natural gas. So again, the dynamic around natural gas, around LNG, is just extraordinary. The consensus among experts is that LNG will continue to be a major driver of demand growth well into the next decade, from developed countries in Europe to fast-growing economies like India. A few of those experts are with us on today's panel. They're here to tell us what is driving these trends, where they may be headed, and how U.S. LNG fits into the equation. We know that we're dealing with a very, very competitive global market, what I have referred to as a narrowing window of opportunity. I use this term quite frequently, and it seems that I've been using it for a long period of time. But it is, I believe, a narrow window of opportunity to establish leadership in the global gas trade. So I hope we're going to hear some ideas this morning on how to make our exports even more competitive. I'm particularly excited, coming from Alaska, about the role that my state can play. The FERC has just released the draft EIS for the Alaska LNG project, has great opportunity to move some tremendous reserves of conventional gas on the North Slope to market. It's a pretty important milestone for us in the federal permitting process, and we continue to recognize that Alaska's gas is a remarkable resource that will add to the energy security of the U.S. and our allies. As we look at our growing exports, we should also look at the ways that the U.S. can support imports by other countries to advance both our economic and our security interests. And I've started to do that, so today members will see at their seat here a new white paper that we are releasing this morning. We've entitled it, "With Powers So Disposed." This references a quote from President George Washington's farewell address, so quite a few years back, but you're at a point in time where certainly President Washington could never have envisioned supercooled methane molecules being shipped around the globe in giant tankers, but he did foresee that the American government would have to work to open up opportunities for its businesses with other nations in a way that promotes both market forces as well as our national interests. So the paper effectively lays out a framework to strengthen America's geopolitical posture by sharpening our tools of economic statecraft. I think we're very uniquely positioned here in the Congress to provide a level of strategic direction to federal departments and agencies that are operating in this area. Just one example is the Ex-Im Bank, the Export-Import Bank. It's nearing the sunset of its current authorization in September. This framework that you have in front of you is certainly going to guide my participation in that discussion. This report is, for those who are sitting out there, that report's available on our committee website, and I'd be happy to refer you to energy.senate.gov, but stay tuned for more. I think as this conversation proceeds, we're going to have a kind of an uptick in interest on these very important matters. So I want to thank our witnesses for joining us here today. I look forward to your testimony as well as your insight on this very, very important topic. With that, I turn to my ranking member, Senator Manchin.